Episode 9, discussing Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 8, No One. Okay, so I'm here with Kate. We just finished Episode 8. Should we go geographically?
Sure.
Why don't we start in the east? Why don't we start with Arya?
Okay.
So, I thought maybe last episode when she was so stupid to not be on guard at all that maybe it was somehow a ploy to bring the waif out of the hiding and get after her. But nope, she's just really that stupid.
I feel like I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Man, she recovers quickly. I get that she was playing and luring the waif to be able to kill her, and that's something that was happening at the very end. But she really miscalculated with Lady Crane and her dying, and then that Bourne Identity chase through the streets. It's pretty much like all of that was unplanned until the very last moment after she fell down all those stairs, where she's like, all right, I got a plan, and now I'm going to lure her.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing was pretty terrible. She, last episode, got 2 big stab wounds to the belly, but now she was able to jump out windows and fall 10 feet and roll around, and the waif chasing her around like Jason Voorhees with a smirk on her face and walking half the time. I don't know. The whole thing, I didn't really like at all. She used her advantages. She turned out the lights because she was blind for a little while, so I guess has that advantage. You know, she's been blind before, and she trained that way. The waif has presumably never been blind before, so I thought the whole thing was pretty nonsensical and kind of dumb. And I still, this is a constant criticism I've had. I don't feel like Arya has had all that much training. I don't see...
I think she's had more training than what you seem to think. Just, she did have a little bit of time with Syrio Forel, and I think that it was enough to lay a certain foundation. And then her time with the Hound, he did teach her stuff then too. And then here at the House of Black and White. So she's had 3 very different types of teachers. And I think that each of these teachings have built upon one another. And time is kind of funny when we watch Game of Thrones. I think more time has gone by than you may have realized for her training. So I think she's actually a much more formidable force than you might be thinking she is.
Well, I don't even think she would stand a chance against Podrick Payne. Based on what we've seen.
That's just mean.
Well, Podrick's apparently a good fighter. He trains with Brienne twice a day.
But only in one style of fighting, which in tonight's episode was so clearly shown that Bronn easily kicked his ass. And I know Bronn could kick a lot of knights' asses because Bronn's got a different style of fighting. But I would disagree with you on this one. I think Arya has the ability to be a pretty good fighter. She just sometimes gets in her own way.
Yeah, so she's going back to Winterfell. Who knows if anything's going to happen with Jaqen H'ghar in the future. Anything else about Arya?
Well, yeah, I guess I was curious about, no one said that no one believed that she was no one all this time. And then finally here at the very end, he's like, now you're no one. And I guess I wish they explained a little bit more about how she actually was no one. Was it because that she killed the waif and then added her face to the house or the Hall of Faces?
Yeah, I don't know what he meant by that. That seems out of nowhere and completely the opposite of the big reveal, which is that she's Arya Stark.
Right. And I get that he respects her, and there's that there. And I think she's trying to show, our score is settled here, so now we're even, and he's going to let her be. So, I guess I get that part of it, but it kind of takes away a little bit from the fact that he's supposed to be no one, because you can tell he likes Arya and respects her, and no one would.
Right. Yeah. If he wants her dead or alive, who knows if she actually has punishment for screwing them over. Apparently not. There was just maybe punishment if the waif succeeded. Yeah, the whole thing. I don't know.
We now she's really taken to heart who she is, and she's headed home now. And we know for a fact that she knows how to use faces. She knows how to use them, but she knows how to take them off because she added the waif's face. So.
There was one thing she said, which reminded me of something. She said, west of Westeros, nobody knows what's out there. I couldn't help but think that at some point, this is probably never going to happen, but at some point, somebody, probably the Ironborn, are going to discover the Game of Thrones universe equivalent of America. This all takes place in the mirror image of England before the discovery of the New World, approximately, and I don't know, it just seemed weird to me that they talked about what's west of Westeros, the west of the edge of the world, and blah, blah, blah. That seemed completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, I hadn't really considered that. And, again, she made a point of talking about that with Lady Crane, so they must be going somewhere with it.
Yeah.
Or at least to get viewers' curiosity piqued.
Yeah, they seem to have planted a seed there for some reason or another. Who knows?
Part of me is interested too. Is she going to finish her list? Because isn't that Cersei and the Mountain still on her list?
Yeah, maybe she forgot about her list. I don't know
if she's already a Stark, she has now forgotten her list.
Yeah. All right, so then also in the East, we have the stuff in Marine. So I'll just quickly comment before I forget that over the seasons, Tyrion's hair keeps getting darker and darker.
I thought I noticed that too. It's funny you should say that.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know why they're doing that. The guy's either golden haired or not, and I don't know. Well, anyways, so he's dark hair now for some reason. Looking a little less Lannister-ish.
Yeah, I felt like they were kind of killing time again with Tyrion trying to be funny, and I get that he's a guy known for his conversational skills and getting to be friendly with all kinds of people and that sort of thing, but they've just done that so much this season. I don't know, I just feel like they're trying too hard.
Yeah, I didn't really like that where he was trying to make the jokes, but on the flip side, they had to have that fleet show up, and they couldn't just go straight to a fleet attacking. They had to introduce us to the scene somehow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it wasn't as long as I thought it was. Maybe it's just the fact that we've had some of those other scenes that were kind of inconsequential. Because when the fleet did show up, I was like, okay, I do kind of get that. Which clearly shows that the slavers didn't follow the bargain that Tyrion tried to make with them.
Yeah, the only practical thing Tyrion has done in 3 seasons totally didn't work out at all. So
yeah.
that's a shame. But yeah, so the slavers are there. I guess they're angry.
They want back what they think is theirs.
Which is what, the city?
Marine and the slaves, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really profitable, and there's a long history for the slavers. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Astapor and Yunkai are a part of this too, which those are already kind of back up and running after Dany left, but Marine isn't. And I think that not only do they want Marine back, but they kind of want their way of life back. And I think that's what they're trying to show here.
Well, so in the books, it's mostly Yunkai army and other forces that are attacking Marine. And Barristan Selmy is there. Dany had flown off on a dragon and has not returned. So we don't know where she is in the books. And Barristan is the one who's serving as kind of the mayor of the city. The Yunkish army are catapulting diseased bodies into the city.
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah.
So Barristan has to go out and fight them rather than stay inside the city. Like, Blackfish could have stayed in that castle for 2 years, and Barristan, I'm sure, could have stayed in Marine forever, but they're catapulting dead bodies, diseased bodies. So he has to go out and face them, and that's where we are in the books. And right as he goes out to face them, the Ironborn, led by a character that doesn't exist in the show, Victorian Greyjoy, ordered by Euron Greyjoy, shows up there also, and it's pretty confusing situation. So are we thinking that this sea battle that we got cut short tonight is going to continue and Yara's going to show up?
Yeah, possibly, but we have Dany show up, which we haven't gotten in the books yet. We don't know where Dany is in the book. So, and they clearly had Dany show up here with Drogon. He drops her off? Like, is he like her chauffeur or something? Like, part of me is like, unless she wants those ships for herself, she should be saying her little magic word and he should be burning all those ships in the harbor right then and there.
Well, I was kind of left under the impression that he dropped her off and that's what he was going to do. It showed him flying away in the background and he was going to go torch the ships. But who knows? They cut the scene short, so what do we know?
And are the Dothraki just kind of like hanging out and
they're
chilling?
Who knows where they are?
Netflix and chill.
About 5 episodes ago, Tyrion released 2 dragons for completely no reason at all, apparently. They're just sitting down there in the cave.
Maybe they're Netflix and chilling.
Yeah, I mean, they could have... If those 2 would have come out tonight to fight that fleet...
That would have been cool.
That would have showed us that Tyrion did something worthwhile, but they had him release those dragons, and I just don't know really why that scene was in there. Because I guess so they could just give Tyrion a couple minutes of screen time.
Part of me, now that we only have 2 episodes left of season 6 here, I thought that we were going to get shown so much more that we just didn't know because Winds of Winter, the book, isn't out yet. And I have a feeling that, yes, they had to show us some stuff, and they have. But I think it's because they had to. Like, for example, they couldn't not show us Jon Snow coming back, that sort of thing. But they're really actually, in a lot of ways, only now just catching up to some elements. in the book still. So there's still so much that the show has to do from Winds of Winter and then A Dream of Spring of these last 2 books. So I was expecting them to give us a lot more, and they haven't given us as much as I thought they would.
No, totally. And I feel they're a little lost without the guidance of the books, even if George R. R. Martin has told them what has happened. Like, John wasn't in this episode, but so far there just appears to be no ramifications to his personality or anything from his being dead. Like, basically the story could be exactly the same if instead of stabbed and brought back to life, he was just clubbed over the head and spent a few days in the hospital and recovered.
With the only exception being he's so honor-bound, and it's the only way he could have released himself from being a part of the Night's Watch.
Right, so all a big ploy to get him out of the Night's Watch and not have him sully himself, I guess.
And we still have to see him. Like, we haven't seen him in, 2 episodes here? So we still have to see him. We're going to see the Bastard Bull next week, and in the preview it said, if I die, don't bring me back, which I think is a piece of that. But we still have to see a little bit more of how much he might be affected. But so far, we haven't. I guess just really quickly here is, I think that maybe some of the stuff they've given us this season is setting up stuff for either these last 2 episodes or for next season.
Well, yeah, they're moving a lot of pieces around. And so, yeah, let's stick to our geographical rundown. Is there anything else about Marine you want to say? Not that much happened. Danny showed up, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we'll see if the Greyjoys show up also. Or if this is a battle that just doesn't even happen. Maybe the dragon toasts all the ships and it's over. We don't even see it and it's just next episode It's over.
That's another thing that I've noticed a lot here, where there's a lot of setup for some things and then it's nothing.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to, I guess, in a couple of things tonight. But I have a feeling I wouldn't be shocked if there's more of that. Of setup and then nothing.
Yeah. Blackfish. Okay, so... All right, so let's move over to Westeros. The Hound going on his little revenge thing, which...
Yeah, I guess really quick what I'll just say is this is, I think, the second episode in a row here where we've had nothing in the north. So we have no wall and we have no Winterfell area.
Wait. It wasn't last weekend when we met Lady Mormont and the Glovers and stuff like that?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so not much happened, but it was...
I guess I already forgot about that.
Well, but that, so next weekend, apparently we're going to get the big battle between Jon's 2,000 forces, I guess.
Right, so this is really where I was going. So I guess I was getting confused. It was 2 episodes ago where there was nothing in the north. And then we got some stuff again and then nothing again today. And I guess really what I was going to say with it is I guess we've gotten all of our setup for this battle.
Right.
That's already happened and I'm a little shocked by that.
Right. Have I ever been less excited for a battle?
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess I am excited, but not as much as I probably should be.
No.
This is no Battle of Blackwater.
Right, exactly. And preparing for the Battle of Blackwater, I think it was the episode before. It might have been the same episode, or the episode before, where Stannis promotes Davos to Hand of the King on the ship on the way over there. So we know that there's a bunch of ships going there. We know what they're trying to do. And Stannis rewards this street-born guy to be Hand of the King. That gets us pumped for the next episode, and it shows us things in King's Landing where they're preparing for Stannis' ships to come. So we know there's a big battle coming. This one that's apparently going to happen next week due to the previews is just going to come after a couple episodes of Jon and Sansa being completely unable to gather forces. I guess they're just on another suicide run like Stannis.
Yeah.
The only difference is they have plot armor, so we both know they're going to survive. So Sansa sent her little letter, and that's probably going to...
Well, and I think that's the other thing, because what you were just describing for the Battle of Blackwater is you were talking a lot about the setup for Stannis, but we also had a lot of setup on the other side for Tyrion and stuff, and you didn't really know how to root for because there's people on both sides. Like, we got Tyrion that you're rooting for, you got Stannis you're rooting for, and so you're just really kind of excited and don't know who to root for. You don't know who's going to win either. And not that you wanted, Cersei and Joffrey to win, but it wasn't that simple. Sansa was on that side. And...
Right, we know for certain that Ramsay Bolton is not going to kill Jon and Sansa.
Right.
There's no tension there, whereas the Battle of Blackwater, we did not know if Stannis was going to win or lose. All we knew is that Tyrion would probably survive. But as far as I was concerned, anyone else was on the chopping block. But this time, I don't feel concerned for our heroes, except that...
I feel bad for their army.
Right. So if this battle coming up next week is going to have any lasting ramifications, we got to assume that somebody important is going to die. So let's just do a little prediction thing here. I say Jon will not die. I say Sansa will not die. Davos, I don't think will die either. I think he's going to survive the whole show, but he is someone they could kill to give it a larger impact. We see from the preview that he is going to discover that Stannis burned Shireen, and that's going to make him probably do his pouty face thing, but that's about it because it shows in the commercials that he's fighting.
I could see potentially Lady Melisandre dying in order to save Jon. Like, she finally found the prince that was promised and realized part of her existence all this time of what she's supposed to do is to save him or do something with that. So I guess I could potentially see her dying in this battle.
Right. It just hasn't shown her in so many episodes. She could. I guess I'm worried about... First, I think Rickon is toast. I think he's dead. They showed him to us for no reason. And that's just like Tyrion releasing the dragons. Whatever.
Well, he's the motivation for the North to unite.
For the 62 Mormonts.
At least as of right now. Yeah. But he is sufficient. Like, if there are people in the North who are still loyal to the North, finding out that a true Stark is there, and what I mean by that is not my opinion, but like the actual laws of the land in Westeros, where he's a male heir that's actually still alive. So Jon is not legitimized and Sansa's a woman. So he would be, as far as they know, because they don't know about Bran, the next in line. So I feel like he would be great motivation. So I think that's what that is. But right. Maybe I could see him dying.
Maybe the Glovers will flip sides, but we've met so few houses that we don't even know who could flip for him. And then the last one that I would be worried is on the chopping block was the fan favorite Tormund, Giantsbane.
That would bum me out.
Yeah, he probably won't go out. I think he's like Bronn. I think that the show writers know that the fans like him, so they won't take him out. But he's a big name that could go down without changing the whole dynamic of the story.
I will have stronger feelings about Tormund going down the way you felt about Stannis.
Yeah. Well, I think when Tormund is about to go down, Littlefinger and the Knights of the Vale are going to show up.
Well, I think that's the piece with this where I feel like everything's too obvious. I really hope you and I are wrong about this. I hope next week is... Like, I really enjoyed the Battle on the Wall. I really enjoyed Battle of Blackwater. I really liked Hardhome. Like, I didn't know anything about Hardhome coming in. I loved that so much because the previews didn't give it away. It was just something that they just gave us. It was such a treat to me. It's one of my favorite episodes from the series. And, like, I just, right now, this whole battle just seems very, like, we already know what's going to happen for the most part. Like, there could be some minor unexpected things, but for the most part, we know.
Right, yeah. So I hope we're wrong as well, because it all seems very predictable. Good guy versus bad guy and blah, blah, blah.
I want to be wrong.
Yeah.
So maybe next week we'll be like, yay, we're wrong.
So, yes, I don't even know how we got here, because there's nothing happened.
Because you went to the Hound, and I was like, I just wanted to talk because, the next time we chat, this will have already happened. Yeah. So... Okay, but you mentioned the Hound.
So I like seeing him cut people up.
Well, it just shows us that he's back to his old ways, but maybe he's not the same person. So even though he's killing, maybe he's killing for a cause now. Right. Before, he just killed.
Right, he did it before, and he even justified it. I was thinking about it the other day. We all have sympathy for him, but in the very first season, he does cut down the butcher's boy, Micah. Just rides him down and kills him. And then later...
He doesn't care.
Right, doesn't care. And later when Arya... is, mad at him about it. He says that he did it because that was the king's order and who is he to question the king. And I think the Hound likes killing. So he did it before as justification because the king told him to. But now I think, seeing him having a little meaning behind the deaths, I guess is cool. And then we saw that the Brotherhood Without Banners is, those were bad apples, like we talked about. Yeah. We were wondering if the whole Brotherhood went bad. But nope, just some bad apples, and they got their just desserts.
But we also got back some characters we haven't seen in several seasons. We got Beric Dondarrion and Thoros of Myr. Yeah. And I actually enjoyed this season. This scene. It's something where I liked where Beric Dondarrion really made a case that the Hound has a purpose because he's still alive, and that he's this born fighter. So he's kind of combining, you still got a purpose here and you're a born fighter. So... he's going to do something fighting, and let's see what that is.
So is the Hound going to be Lady Stoneheart? Going to take her role?
He might, and I would be okay with that.
Avenging force of nature?
Well, because, I was trying to really think about this. I could see him joining the Brotherhood, mainly because he doesn't really have anything else to do. He's pretty aimless here in that way, but yet he does like being the soldier, so it would be a way for him to do that. But we also saw that, I think he and Arya might be reunited at some point. And I like that because I remember when she was being interviewed in the House of Black and White, she was asked if she cared about him, and she said no, and they called her a liar for that. So we know that she actually does care about him. And then he always had the soft spot for Sansa. So, the Brotherhood in the books is seeking revenge for the Red Wedding, and that's what, Lady Stoneheart is doing. And the Hound would really be an asset there. So maybe a part of him might care a little bit more about the Starks, but... I mean, it doesn't seem totally his character, but you never know.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem his character. And if he does take Lady Stoneheart's place and they follow the books in any way, then somehow he's going to capture Brienne, you know, and they have a history together now. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if he did take Lady Stoneheart's role, he would have to kind of continue this vengeance thing. And if he did continue the vengeance thing, it would be about the Red Wedding. Because this vengeance thing right now was because of what just happened with the Septon and what happened in last week's episode. But now he's fulfilled that. So if he continued with them, he would have to have some kind of motivation.
Yeah, he doesn't have a dog in that fight, so...
No pun intended?
Yeah. So I don't know if I'd buy it, but whatever.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But I've been enjoying his return.
Yeah.
I guess I'll say that. That's been fun to watch.
All right, so while we're in the Riverlands... we get what is maybe a combination of the best and worst scenes of the episode. I liked the scenes at the siege. I liked the confrontation between Jaime and
Lord Edmure.
Lord Edmure.
Yeah, I thought that was really well acted.
Yeah, that was good conversation, well acted. I felt bad for Edmure. He's not as hardcore as Blackfish, and he kind of gave in, but also, you know, maybe he resolved this thing peacefully. Like, I doubt that his army's going to be killed. But then on the flip side, this scene was also the worst, and I thought the episode was going really well until this part. But, Blackfish, I'll just commit suicide here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, there wasn't a battle in the books either, so I understand that there wasn't one here.
Well, right, but in the books, so the Blackfish, I talked about this last week, swims out under cover.
He gets away.
So the way Brienne and Podrick went out in that boat in the show should have been Blackfish.
Although part of his whole escape is he sneaks away.
Right, he swims out. He doesn't go on the boat.
Brienne was obviously getting away, so that would have been different. And that's what makes him just kind of such a cool character, is that he is supposed to be this older guy, but he still gets away, and you've got the whole Lannister army there, and they miss him, and the phrase.
Why did they bother? Why didn't they just kill him at the Red Wedding? He served no purpose here except to get us pumped that maybe he would do something. I don't know. It was just a total letdown.
Well, it's just another good soldier that the series has killed off. You know, we've got Sir Barristan, Stannis, and now Blackfish.
Well, the way Blackfish went out reminded me of Mance Rayder, where he went out for no good reason. He's just like, my pride will take me out. And
yeah, I mean, I understand Mance's a little bit more. Where this one, I just don't get it. It seems very senseless. It's like he wanted to die, so this was just I'm going to go out fighting then.
Right? Yeah, it's just that's what reminds me about Mance is that it was his pride that took him down. But unlike Mance, Blackfish actually had a lot to live for. And in the books, he's going to do, I presume, important things because he actually escaped this scene.
Yeah, and just the revenge of the wedding that he did escape, and the fact, like, what Brienne was saying, it's like, you have actual blood here that needs help, and he's like, you're going to serve her better than I ever could. It's like, why can't you both?
Right.
Why does it be either or? Like, that made no sense to me.
You only live once, I'm going out with a sword in my hand, you know.
He was so motivated up until this point, and Edmure being Edmure, which they've kind of shown him acting this way before when he couldn't even light his dad's boat on fire. Yeah. The Blackfish had to do it. Like, he couldn't have been, like, so shocked by Edmure's decision. He knew that was coming. Like, I don't know. I agree. I found it very senseless. He's a character I enjoyed, and this is just like, what's the point? And I guess there's a chance that maybe he wasn't actually killed because we didn't see it. This happened off screen, and then Jaime's just informed, and like, what if someone could be wrong? But they've done the whole bait and switch of people dying so much this season. We already have the Mountain, the Hound, and Jon, where I just feel like that's a lot. Yeah,
no, he's dead. So, yeah, and then the other thing we had was Jaime and Brienne reunited, and that was, you know, they understand each other. That was kind of cool, I guess.
Well, clearly there's something between them that can never happen. And so they showed that where they kind of are looking at each other, and you can feel kind of that, like, tension and that there's feelings there, but then there's also this nothing's going to come of it kind of thing. Did
Brienne tell Jaime? I can't remember. Does Jaime know that there's going to be a battle for Winterfell? Did she tell him tonight? I think she did, right?
She said that she's serving Sansa. I don't know if she
she did, because he was like, what army is he going to use? And she was like,
oh, yeah.
So, I doubt they're going to go this route, but Jaime does have an obligation to protect the Boltons, and he's got 7,000 men with him. So if he wanted to go up north and get on either side, he could. I doubt it's going to happen, but
Well, Cersei's not going to like that if he goes fights for Sansa, so...
Well, right, but he would more likely go to help the Boltons.
Right.
Because he said tonight that the Blackfish are in open rebellion, and by King's decree, they've given the castle to the Freys, but the King also owes the Boltons. They're the Wardens of the North. So Jaime, if he were a good, loyal King's servant commander, he should go and kick Sansa's ass. But he probably won't. I'm just saying.
No, there's so much conflict there. I mean, I guess we just don't know. Like the books.
No,
this is like where the books is.
Right.
So.
It's not going to happen. I'm just saying that it should if he was being consistent in his arguments.
I think one of the things that I appreciated about Jaime and Brienne's interactions here, it's the only redeeming qualities of Jaime that we ever see is only when he's around Brienne.
Yeah, she brings out the best in him.
Yeah, and when they're not together, he's the guy who threw Brienne out the window.
Oh yeah, so by the way, we talked about this in a previous podcast. Apparently in Jaime's mind, and maybe Brienne's, that vow that he swore Catelyn was transferable. So remember, we debated this.
Yeah.
So they both seem to think that it was a success, more or less.
But nobody found Arya. Like.
Yeah, she's unfindable.
But the whole oath was both kids.
Yeah.
One is not enough.
Right. But she gave the sword back because she felt like everything was fulfilled.
Yeah, but I also feel like Jaime, I was expecting him kind of to say this here, like, that's actually ice. That is, or part of ice, that is a Stark weapon there. And so it belongs in the North. And now that he knows that Brienne is serving Sansa until her death, yes, that's where it should be. I mean, it would be such a great thing to say of like, no, it belongs there. That's Ned Stark's like sword. Yeah,
in case anyone doesn't remember, they burnt down Ned's sword and made two swords out of it, one for Jaime and one for Joffrey. I don't know whatever happened to that sword. Does Tommen have it?
I don't know. They haven't followed up with it, but what was it, like Heart Eater or something?
Or yeah, something like that.
He made Sansa kiss it and stuff.
So anything else here? I do have one more thing to say.
Are you asking yourself if there's anything more?
Yeah, because I wanted to save this because it's a nice segue to the final part in King's Landing.
Okay.
So Jaime talking to Edmure, we got, maybe under the radar, the most important line of the whole episode. He said, Cersei will do anything for her children, including burning cities to ashes.
Yes.
So that leads us to King's Landing, where Cersei has found out, we presume, how much of that wildfire is under the city.
It's interesting that you said that. I agree. I'm curious to know the secret that she and Qyburn found out, but I think it has exactly to do with the wildfire that Mad King distributed throughout King's Landing. And when he's like, burn them all, like everything we heard Jaime said. And I wouldn't be surprised now at the setup that Tommen has officially turned on his mother, and we see that it's quite clear that in order to save her kids and to kind of be like, give the big F you to everyone here, she would burn it all down. Like, if she can't have it, no one can have it.
Yep. I purposely didn't mention this possibility last episode because I thought maybe we would spoil it if it came as a surprise, but I don't think it's coming as a surprise now, at least if you're paying attention, because it showed 2 episodes ago with all the flashbacks, it showed the wildfire exploding underneath King's Landing, and we know that did not happen in the past, so that was a premonition of the future. We get Jaime's sentence tonight, and then we get Cersei talking to Qyburn about it. So yeah, she's got to
get out of there. Now that she can't have a trial by combat, she's stuck.
Yeah.
You know, so it's something where, I mean, Qyburn's going to know a lot of the ways in and out of the city, the way Varys did and stuff. But I guess kind of to back up a little bit more here, I found it interesting when Lancel, when they came to come get Cersei, how he said that the High Sparrow ordered her to come. Like that's the way a king gives orders.
Right. His power hungriness. He is now the most powerful guy in the city, or thinks he is.
And he's acting that way.
Yeah, right.
And no one seems to recognize it. Like, the faith is just so blinded by this that they don't realize that he's giving orders like that. And I just...
Oh, man, I really wanted the Mountain to kill more of them. I was hoping he'd take out Lancel. I didn't think he would, because Kevin Lannister is Lancel's dad, and that would have complicated the story. But
yeah, but it would have been such a side note that I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference.
Yeah, but it was nice to see him rip that guy's head off.
I'm not surprised there wasn't more of a combat there. Or, like, I kind of figured, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good scene, and that just goes to show. So after tonight, I am not so sure at all that Clegane Bowl is going to happen. So that's the speculated battle between the Mountain and the Hound. So what's been thought, the theory for years has been that Cersei's defender in her trial by combat would be the Mountain, of course, and then the Faith's contestant would be the Hound, who has kind of been reformed by this monk. But now, trial by combat is apparently illegal, and
he's not so reformed.
Right, and yeah, the Hound is not so reformed. There's no reason he'd be fighting for the Faith. And the Hound would not stand a chance. This is something I said before, but tonight it was confirmed. He took that hammer blow to the chest, and it's not that, maybe the armor stopped it from cutting him, but he didn't even move an inch. So if he's anything the way they portrayed him tonight, the Hound or...
He's like a white.
Anyone, right. No one can stand with him in one-on-one fight.
Yeah.
So it's not to say the Hound and him might not end up tussling. I think they probably will at some point, but it can't happen in a fair fight, or else the Hound is just toast.
Yeah, I would agree with you that. And I mean, one thing I'll say here is that I didn't see the battle by combat being dismissed. So I enjoyed that surprise of this time I was expecting it just to happen. And I never questioned that it wouldn't.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either.
And I actually think we're complaining about a lot of follow through here of the writing, where I feel like there's been so many holes this season with things where they kind of put out one thing and then they don't really follow through with it very well. Where here, they've really tried to show that the High Sparrow is this really calculated, smart guy who outsmarted everyone else to get to where he is. And so, of course, when Cersei says, I choose violence, and doesn't do what he says, it's like a game of chess, and he moves back and he takes away her battle by combat. And so he bested her again, and I kind of enjoyed that. That's what you would expect from that kind of level of what his character has been established as here.
Yeah, I think King's Landing is single-handedly carrying this whole season. Even though I haven't liked all the pacing of it, and I felt at times that it was a little unconvincing, all in all, that's where the real Game of Thrones is happening, where there's political intrigue. That's what's missing everywhere else. There's no political intrigue going on. So we have a lot of that in King's Landing, which I like a lot. And like I said, I think Cersei... So Jaime killed the Mad King to stop him from burning 5 million people. And it's going to be ironic if his sister does it and takes out the entire city. And presumably she'll be out of there when that happens, and she'll take Tommen. Or if Tommen dies, she'll do it afterward. And I assume the Mountain... I don't know. This is hard to see how this is going to go down. But
remember, she dies by the Valonqar.
Right. Yeah, that is left out of the show.
But they did have the whole scene of Maggie the Frog.
No, they didn't mention the Valonqar.
Maybe not yet.
Well, yeah, so...
I mean, but that would be such a huge plot twist to take out. I mean, they've set it up in the book so much.
No, I do think she'll die by the Valonqar, and I'm not going to explain what the Valonqar is for the people here that want to be surprised by it. I do think that's how she will die. So presumably, if she lights King's Landing up like a torch, she won't be there at the time. I'm just wondering if Tommen will die before or after or during. Maybe she'll be responsible for his death, which it would have to be a mistake. I don't see her doing that on purpose. Maybe his death will push her over the edge, and that'll get her to do it.
Well, we already know that if she thinks he's going to be exposed to a horrible existence, she's willing to kill him.
Right.
The Battle of Blackwater, she was willing to sacrifice both of them to save him from something worse.
Right. What she's talking about, any listeners who can't remember, Cersei was going to poison, I think it was Marcella, right? Or was it Tommen?
No, it was her and Tommen.
Okay, she was going to poison Tommen when she thought that Stannis was going to win the battle.
Because Marcella, I think, was already shipped to Dorne.
Okay. So yeah, she's definitely capable of killing herself and her child to spare them a horrible existence.
If she'd use it as protection.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting, and sorry for anyone if that spoiled something you didn't see coming. If it happens, we'll see.
But it came out again, that whole exchange between Edmure and Jaime. They talk about the love that Catelyn and Cersei have for their kids, and I think they're dropping some things here and then laying some breadcrumbs.
Okay, so that's everywhere in the episode. All in all, I thought the first half of the episode was really good, and I thought the second half sucked. And I fear that a once mighty show is moving down into mediocrity. It's season 5, all in all, I thought was so much worse than 1 through 4. And sadly, I think season 6 is only slightly better than 5. I don't have the confidence that without the books as a guide, the showrunners can pull it off in a good way.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need some time to really figure out how I feel about this season. There's so much setup all the time. I feel like I've got to go back and rewatch some of these other seasons that I feel so fondly about. Because even though they're set up, it's still intriguing and interesting to be a part of each episode. Where so many times here I'm like, okay, gotta wait for next week. Okay, gotta wait for next week. Like I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting all the time. Although The Door, I'm pretty fond of from this season. That was very poignant. It was kind of creepy, like kind of like a horror film, how they filmed it. And they did an excellent job with Hodor's demise and putting that all together. I thought that was really well done, and I really appreciated it.
Maybe we'll do a final end of the season review and talk more about this.
I mean, I think one thing that has just really been missing is a lot of times when there's not so much quote-unquote action taking place is you enjoy the relationships that you're watching. So like Arya and the Hound, that was really fun to watch. Remember when Arya was with like Tywin? You know, it was fun to see some of these things. And they're missing that flavor sometimes of the exchanges or relationships that people just really enjoy.
Right, the contrasting... like
Tyrion and Bronn.
The clash of personalities is not happening as much. And like I said, aside from King's Landing, I just don't see any intrigue going on. And that was part of the fun of the show. But anyways, I don't mean to be overly critical. We'll get a big battle next week, and I'm still enjoying it. But they seem fatigued to me. It's weird. I feel like the show is like the producers are tired. They're like, man, this is such a big thing.
They might be tired. They work year round for this, and it's so hard for them to get it out on time. Like this year, they started a few weeks later than they have ever before, and I think they are potentially tired. But
sadly, I think it's coming through. But anyways, this is getting really long. So anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, cool. Thanks.